We started the sacred fire on the water line on May 11th is when we erected the teepee and started the sacred fire. So I was on the front line for a week until the officers showed up on May 19th. Towards evening is when they gave me the temporary restraining order. I believe it was like a week after the temporary restraining order was when I wasn't given the lawsuit, the SLAPP lawsuit. It was actually emailed to me. So and it was just a heads up, from one of the, I believe it was Max that sent it to me. And so I didn't know about it. And so we have this lawsuit on us, with myself being the only descendant of Sam that was stated in this SLAPP lawsuit. There are other descendants, Dean Barley's, and just there was two other natives, BC and also Bethany, that were named in the lawsuit, and
Wow.
Max and I think it was Paul Cienfuegos,
Yes.
and PTP, Protect Thacker Pass.
We're here at Peehee Muhu, and the police are returning for arrest for blocking the road.
Because to this day they have never served me the lawsuit, or they have never emailed me the lawsuit. The only lawsuit I've seen is a lawsuit that Max have shared with us. So yeah.
So he got one. He got the actual copy. He was served.
Yeah.
And then on the lawsuit, it mentions you too. So he was calling you and letting you know. Is that it?
Yeah.
Got it.
And then following that,
wow, that's just unbelievable. That you've been your land for about 10,000 years, and then they come in and they think, now we're going to issue this lawsuit, and basically the point of those SLAPP suits is to shut people up.
Right. Yeah.
So did that surprise you? I mean, it's a lot of money, right? That they're claiming in damages.
It is, yeah. Yeah, I guess it does surprise me, but then it doesn't scare me though, because I don't think it's really gonna stand. Personally, I think that the only reason why they filed this lawsuit, um, and the charges in the lawsuit were civil conspiracy, nuisance, trespass, tortious interference, and tortious interference with contractual relations, with prospective economic advantages and unjust enrichment. So, in the TRO, when they filed the TRO, they first off, it was like they said that but they can pinpoint one particular person, right? So they're saying that in the TRO there was four of us. There was myself, Paul, Max, and Chuck. And so they were in all of the TROs, they stated that we were flying drones really close to them, that the workers feared for their lives, and which was all false allegations, and accusing us of taking diesel from their vehicles, from their equipments. And I'm like, I don't even have a diesel vehicle.
That's odd.
Yeah, and
Well,
oh
I've seen
gosh,
all the drone footage, and when the drone is close to the workers, they're
yeah,
waving and smiling.
right, correct. Yeah. So I said it didn't look like they were in fear for their lives, you know.
No.
Actually, I think they were enjoying it, the attention.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But that's
So
pretty harsh, you know. And the reason I asked the question was because it seems like with these large companies, and particularly the mining companies all around the world, you know, they're using these kinds of tactics to intimidate people.
right, right.
Hmm. So what about Sentinel Rock? What
Yeah, that
about
is
Sentinel Rock,
Sentinel.
your sacred area?
They say it's in the work zone only because they were passing the water line right through the road that goes to Sentinel Rock.
Hmm.
So they've already laid down their pipeline. So I don't even know if it's still in their work zone, considered to be in their work zone. Myself and a cousin of mine, she worked with a lot of archaeologists and things, and they told her that we should still be able to have access to Sentinel Rock,
Hmm.
but I don't want to hurt the lawsuit. You know, I don't want to hurt the lawsuit of how far the attorneys have come in filing, you know filing against them and things like that. So I don't want to hurt that. So I've been keeping my distance
Hmm.
from Sentinel Rock. It is hard, because we're so used to being up there all the time, and um, offering prayers and things, and just walking around, being on the land itself, and it's hard, but it's something that I have to deal with until this is over with, and hopefully that's going to be soon.
Hmm. Well, what do you
And the
think
way
what's going to happen from here?
um gosh, I hope they dismiss it.
Okay.
I with the lawsuit, it's to me, yeah, it's just a scare, just to keep us away from there. And it's also causing a division because they've um they've taken pictures off of the internet, off of social media and stuff, and there's people in there where they clearly stated their names, but these people, they're not in the lawsuit. It's not that I want them in the
Right.
lawsuit, it's just that it does look like they're trying to cause a division there.
So this started what, a couple of years ago? I mean, the first lawsuit that the tribes filed, there were 3 or 4 tribes, right? So there was Burns Paiute, Summit Lake,
And
Reno Spark,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
and they objected to the mine early on the basis of lack of consultation and following procedures incorrectly, right? Do I have that
That's
right?
right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you said you got involved later.
Actually, I have been involved all along, when Max and Will first came to Thacker Pass 2020, I would say, like in December, late
Yeah,
2020.
the winter.
Yeah, in like around November, December, the winter of 2020, they were camping at Thacker Pass already. We didn't know. Um, my niece notified us, told us to go check on these people that were camping there. So, I mean, we had no idea where this was at. I mean, because she didn't really give a specific place. She just said, "Oh, they're up on the hill." So
Oh,
my aunt and I were just driving around, trying to find them, but we didn't know they were out at Thacker Pass until later. We called her and she told us, and that's when we knew they were out there. And so
public lands in the United States.
in
there's a law, the
March,
1872 General Mining Law,
on March 3rd,
which makes it so that if a mining corporation
they were having a
locates
meeting in the
valuable
Orvada
minerals on
community,
public lands,
and
then
they
the federal
they
government has
invited
to give
us.
them permits to
So there was
mine.
myself,
This is not a discretionary thing.
my aunt, my
If
mom,
there's
my
valuable minerals
brother,
there, the
my niece, and my two twins. We went out to Arvada, and that was the first time that you know, we protested, you know, what was going on out there. We were protesting outside the building. I mean, I had no idea what we were protesting. I had no idea what we were protesting. I mean, I knew that the mine was going to be there, and I knew it was going to be a lithium mine. You know, for myself, I was just, you know, I was happy there was a mine coming, because I thought, hey, you know what, this is job for the people close to home.
Yeah.
What I didn't know was what kind of mine it was. That was the thing. And like I said, that was the first time that we met Max and Will. So we got talking to them, and they started telling us, you know, the effects, and, you know, what it was going to cause, and how it was going to affect things. And so, you know, that was when I got serious about this. And we knew that, you know, that massacre had happened there and things. And so we've been involved ever since then. March 3rd of 2021. And my son and I told him, I said, you know, let's just keep going out to Thacker Pass, and let's keep droning, and, you know, watch what they're doing and stuff. And that's what we did. You know, we seen from where it was all sagebrush and, you know, just all nature and everything, up until now, until, you know, they have their brine pits and everything filled up out there. I mean, it's just, they're not stopping for nothing. You know?
Maybe they don't feel secure that they've really won those legal battles. I mean, one of the problems that really blew my mind, honestly, was Miranda Dew, when she made that ruling, said, well, they didn't really complete the procedure. And she even went as far as saying the mine's illegal, but we're gonna go anyway. And it was illegal. It's illegal because they don't have a permit to dump their waste, right? Their tailings and their mess and everything. They're gonna dump it on public land, and they would need a permit for that. So when the first set of lawsuits, or the first lawsuit, was filed, that was when they were saying that there's no massacre site. They had not admitted that, right?
Right.
And then it was later, I don't know when, but it's like a year later or something, they came around and
something like that. I can't remember. Yeah. But they also, I went to a meeting, their quarterly meeting here, dialogue meeting here on the reservation, and God, I can't remember her name. Maria Anderson. She's one of the workers at Lithiums. So she, you know, they were showing a video of, you know, the finds that they had out there, the arrowheads, and, you know, things like that. And they even showed like a hearth, you know, a kitchen that the Paiutes used a long time ago.
a hearth,
and and they had found two of them, and they had taken a picture, and they were showing us where you know, the fire around it, you know, the different colors, you know, the layers of through the dirt from the heat. So that's it was pretty interesting that you know, they have all of these evidence, and they show it, but still there's no stop to what's going on out there, you know, the destruction, the desecration.
Well, the hearth, I mean, that's like the family fire, right? I mean, doesn't that indicate that people were living there?
Yeah, they said it was like their kitchen stove.
Kitchen stove, yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that's a big admission, you know, that they, and also wasn't there tool manufacturing, the spear points, the arrowheads. So wasn't that an obsidian?
Yeah, they have all of that. And they said they have them stored away in Henderson, Nevada, I believe it was. So, yeah.
Okay, so they admitted there's a village or there's people living there. 2 hearths, 2 families, 2 kitchens. So that could be a bunch of people right there, you know, depending on the size of the family group.
Right.
And then the tool making. So they lived there, they hunted there. They had that all in proximity. That seems like a pretty good situation. You know, they didn't have to go like a long way for the tools, you know, for the spear points. It sounds like a settled area. And that would explain the massacres, because people were living there. And then, you know, the Pitt River people came in. That was massacre number 1, and they got pushed out from the colonizing the gold rush. And then the Nevada Cavalry came in for number 2, and people were living there, and Sam was there.
Right.
So okay, we got 2. I just want to clear this up, because there's 2 massacres. There's village. There's people living. They're making tools. It was real settled down. It seemed like a good place. I mean, people must have lived there well, you know, and easily, and made a living.
Yeah, it's right by Crowley Creek. So there's like a creek that runs right there. So it is in a good place. It, you know, it feels really good there. And I mean, I would have lived there. The fish, you know, the deer, it's plentiful there, and the herbs that they get, the medicines, it's, you know, it's all there.
I ended up the last 3 years becoming the park archaeologist in the Santa Monica Mountains National Recreation Area.
We talked to you know, Tracker set us up with this named Austin Ringelstein, and he looked at the EIS, and he said, well, you know, they really didn't do a comprehensive job. You know, they didn't walk the land. They didn't have time. They didn't follow through. They weren't particularly good at it. He called it abysmal, actually, abysmal, because they're supposed to do all that in good faith and work with tribal people.
I mean, I didn't know.
I see.
Yeah.
And so then later we found out that Oak Flat had that same situation, where they had been sort of railroaded into a land exchange, and were set to you know, turn the land over to a non-United States mining company and let them mine, but they didn't have a permit either down there to dispose of the materials and the tailings.
Right.
And President Biden put a pause on that. You know, he said, you know, maybe we're not going to go forward right now, that kind of thing. Not that they couldn't do it later or approve it later, but they stopped it. They didn't stop it when they did the same thing to you guys.
Well, how do we know the next president is going to be any better than the ones that we've had, you know, currently and previously? Right. It's just like, you know, the situation here on the reservation. You know, our previous council chairwoman, she didn't communicate with the community. You know, she didn't make phone calls, return phone calls to our current tribal chairman. You know, he's for this mining altogether, and it you know, it really makes me wonder, because there's a few times where I've seen him going into the Kings River community to purchase hay for his livestock. And if any of the communities are going to be hit hard and first, it would be the Kings River area. makes me wonder why he's for this mine. You know, he doesn't think. He's not thinking. Well, they've set up our first hearing, and they dismissed that to a later date. And I believe I might be wrong. They rescheduled twice already. And so I believe we're looking at somewhere in October. You know, that goes to show that, you know, they're just using this SLAPP lawsuit to keep us off of our own lands. The young people, they're very, you know, destructive. There's a lot of jealousy, a lot of animosity that goes on here. And you know, that was one of the reasons why, you know, we had a nice travel plaza. And when our former chairman Tilden, the one that fast-tracked this mine, when he got voted out, when he was going out, well, it was told that, I don't want to say it was him, it was told that him and somebody else had went and set fire to the travel plaza and said that it was a grease fire that caused the fire there. So, you know, it was a good thing. You know, the travel plaza was a good thing to be there. Because some of the local natives, you know, they sold their beadworks and, you know, whatnot there, and there was a lot of travelers that went through. That burnt down. And, you know, for myself, the way that I see this culture center is, where are they going to get the things that are going to be, because they want a museum in there. I said, where are they going to get the things for the display in the museum when the whole, you know, a majority of the community are against the, you know, Oxam camp? You know, we don't want the mine and they want the mine, and a lot of the family are into making, you know, moccasins and gloves, buckskin moccasins and gloves, and cradle boards, you know, beaded items. And there's you know, a lot of people don't know how to do these. Yeah.
And this is for the cultural center, so the building that they want to build to make, you know, a good public relations image is a culture center. So they didn't, the BLM didn't acknowledge the presence of the people in the village and the massacre sites in the beginning. And then a lawsuit was filed, and then they did acknowledge it. And they even had photographs, and they brought them in and showed you the evidence that they had, and they acknowledged it, which is like where you lived and how you cooked and obtain tools and all those kinds of things. So that was like really super clear. And then you're worshiping at your sacred places where you usually have prayed, you know, usually for 10,000 years. And then they called out their work area because there's a road going there and you're trying to go there too. And I want to talk to you about the excavator, you know, in a minute. But so then all of a sudden it's their work area, and then they sue you guys to shut everybody up.
Right.
So there's kind of a real evil process going on, you know, where they just don't care what they do and they want to shut it down and, you know, attack the people.
Right. Yeah.
So, okay. Well, what happened with the excavator when that young man went out there and talked to the driver? They started talking about all this harassment stuff. But I saw the video and he went out there and he said, what are you guys doing? Do you feel really good about tearing up native land? You know, this is native land, right? So, I mean, that was a very reasonable, intelligent conversation. That wasn't threatening.
I just woke up that morning and I seen that picture of the young man running towards the excavator. And I probably know as much as everybody else does by the videos. The same thing with the young lady, the young man, when he tried to stop the excavator, I guess was when the person driving the excavator was afraid that that he was trying to hurt himself, or that he was going to get hurt. And so they had called the officers in. So they kept calling, the sheriff's department. The sheriff didn't want to get involved, but being that, their boss kept calling them and making them come out there. I don't know if it was a planned thing, because by what I was told, there was a couple of sheriff's vehicles out there. So it might have been a planned thing that, the day that they raided the camp. And I think it was because of the excavator incident.
So when they raided the camp, they took sacred objects too, right? I mean, I think about eagle feathers, and there were other sacred things that were taken.
Yeah, they took my prayer staff. And that staff held a lot of prayers. It had a lot of offerings and carried an eagle feather on it that was gifted to me from a friend of mine that lived in the Kings River Valley. He had gotten the feather off of one of the eagles that nest right there in the Thacker Pass area. Is where that eagle feather came from. So that's why I carried it on the staff.
And they gave all that back, right? But they put it in garbage bags, and it didn't look like they took care of it.
Yeah, that's correct.
Josephine looked really upset.
I'm the president of the Native American Indian Church of the state of Nevada. And my auntie Josephine, she's the vice president. And being that I couldn't communicate with lithium or be in the Thacker Pass area, I told my auntie, I said, well, what if we write up a letter for you and you can hand deliver it to the lithium office for us to retrieve our items back? I told her, I said, I'm not too sure if they would, but if they do, they're violating a lot of things. And so I started looking in my paperwork, with them, because I told them they're violating, the Native American Religious Freedom Act. We wrote this letter for my auntie, and, she delivered it to, she tried to take it to the sheriff's office, and she got the runaround, literally all over Winnemucca. And then she took it to the court. She got told to take it to the courts. She took it to the courts, and then she was told to take it to the lithium office, and she took it to the lithium office. And I think it was there that she was informed that everything was placed in I guess that the security at Thacker Pass had everything. So that was when herself and the rest of the crew went up there to retrieve all of these items. And when I guess her main concern was my staff, because of the eagle feather on there, and it hurt her to see my eagle staff, or my prayer staff, placed upside down in a garbage bag. And then also for her to see how they had put the sacred fire out and stuff. She was she was upset.
So like you said, to repeat, you are leaders in the Native American Church in the state of Nevada, and Native American religion is protected under the First Amendment. freedom of religion, just like everybody else. And there's specific laws like ARFA, American Indian Religious Freedom Act, that you mentioned. Why didn't this get into the heads of any of those people in the sheriff's office or the court that you visited and so forth? I mean, they should know, right?
I don't know. Everybody always say they probably got paid off. I'm not too sure. I mean, I know at the beginning when the sheriffs went out there, they didn't really want to get involved with it. And I know when I was served the TRO, one of the guys that handed me the TRO knew who I was, which surprised me. But he told me, he said he didn't want to do it, but he said it's his job. And I told him, I said, I understand. And another time, I was driving down 95 and we were working on a rundown vehicle, and the sheriffs pulled up again. Well, actually it was a highway patrol, and you know, right away he knew who I was, and he said that he supports what we're doing, you know, trying to, you know, do our land, and he said it was off record.
Okay.
It was off record. So
and meanwhile, on the record, all your sacred items are in a garbage somewhere.
Right.
So what they say, you know, as a community member, I live here too, or I have a family in town, or those kinds of things. I support you. I know you. I'm going to see you again in the market. You know, we can't, you know, never have a relationship or not talk ever again. You know, I mean, he's there, but then at the same time, all this is, you know, going on. And I'm just thinking about the accountability, you know, does Lithium Nevada have a relationship with the county sheriff's department? And do they support them financially?
Well, I'm sure it's happening because when they raided camp, they had Lander County sheriffs there. So, I mean, if it was just Humboldt County, you know, it would have been just Humboldt County, but obviously there's some payoffs happening because it's a different county that's coming in, you know, assisting Humboldt County. And the only time that ever happens if there's, you know, drugs involved, and you know, there was no drugs involved. So to me, I think there is something happening there.